When God created marriage, he created it for man and woman first, period. That was the first trademarking of marriage. We don't own the trademark of marriage. God does. He created it.
Being a wife is something that is unique and special. And not just in the sense of you saying like, oh yeah, that's my husband and y'all are not married. Like you're giving him husband privileges and rights without the covenant and contract, which means you can give him husband privileges and rights and he can still cheat on you and walk out the door.
We're extracting the partnership nature from marriage, and we're only getting the benefits with no true divine attachment to it. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Married to Marriage. I'm Antoine.
And I am Kayla.
Today, in this moment, we have a very untouchy subject that I'm very fired up about. I'm actually very fired up.
He has been talking about this.
Very passionate. Today, we're going to have a small chat because I think personally, even being an entrepreneur and someone who has done business for quite some time and understanding some of the entities and connections of business and how we govern ourselves in business, but also how marriage and partnership is looked at in today's world. I know that we're launching an edtech company right now called Pass the Class, which is crazy. And yes, we will name drop as much as we can. This new platform that teaches pastors, staff, volunteers how not only to have more leadership and how to 10x their leadership inside of their organization, but also to have more of a heart set pastorally and how to pastor in any position. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're kind of like post-pastors of marriages in a way, a little bit, where we can kind of come alongside those of you who are getting married, who are married, and those of you who want to stay married. You hear me?
I'll let you, boy.
But today, I know we live in a certain society to where that can be a little hard to see. As we're even launching our tech company right now, I knew for some time that some of the legalities of our company was a little bit sketchy, touchy, a little bit out of reach. I was still trying to get the domain for the last 4 or 5 years. Some church, somewhere.
Hey, if you're out there and you're watching this right now and you have the domain pastorclass.com, can you go ahead and comment? No, you know what? Direct message me. Because we got some words we would like to exchange with you.
We want to pray with you.
And we just have some things that God has laid on our heart that we would like to share with you.
Yeah. Immediately. But also even that process, whenever you're building a brand, you want to try to get all of the resources you can. We have the Facebook called Pastor Class.
TikTok,
we have Instagram.
We have all the social media.
YouTube, all that. One thing we don't have that I didn't really know that was important because as a Black culture, we're not a legislative, contractual sort of culture.
Yeah.
And one of the main things that you need when you're starting a business, especially of this magnitude, is you need a trademark. Yeah, copyright is fine, but we don't need patents yet. But trademarking is very essential for launching a business. And the trademark has been taken up for some time. I thought it would just fall off. But recently, as we're about to launch this thing, we're getting emails from this entity that hopefully will partner with us one day inside of a partnership. But right now, we're trying to litigate a good in-between to figure out, one, how do we need to maybe rebrand, restructure, because we're probably not going to give up the name, but there's a way that we can maybe get creative with it a little bit. Even though we feel like this entity has the name, but it's doing something
not doing anything toward
completely different.
What the name means.
And that's where I want to start with today is I personally believe and have seen and have experienced the effects of marriage and why God designed it. And the more and more I pay attention to how God designed marriage and the importance of it, with the times in the day that we're living in, that marriage has taken a different form uniquely with different cultures and niches of people, different sexes and groups of people that have just kind of torn it apart, made it its own thing. The most recent thing is very silent, but I think it's a problem, is when we call marriage today a partnership. Mm. And yes, it's an element of a partnership, but now partnerships are like marriages per se. That's what people say. Hey, I have a partner. Or, hey, how's you and your partner doing? Hey, for you and your partner, like, what are we talking about? What type of contractual agreement did we set up into? So I want to help give us a distinctive and clarification on why I believe the terminology and maybe even the use of partnerships could be a little taboo, or really, I think, a bad direction for marriage in general, how God intentionally designed it. So I imagine it like this. When God created marriage, he created it for man and woman first, period. Man shall leave his father and mother and cling to his wife. In short summary, that was the first trademarking of marriage. Mm. So if you were ever to go look up the trademark of marriage, it should say between a man and woman were to become one. Mm-hmm. When a man leaves his wife or leave his mom and father and clings to his wife, and they shall live happily ever after. If I was to look that up in the U.S. Trademarking Association, I forgot the USPTO or something like that. That's who it would say God trademarked marriage. But what we have done, even what I've kind of found out, there's multiple different ways you can trademark the same thing. Mm. They just need to mean a little bit different things. Mm. You hear me? So yeah. I can say, hey, Fort Lauderdale, but we're Fort Lauderdale sweaters. And you can say, hey, I'm Fort Lauderdale, but we're Fort Lauderdale baseball. Mm. Means something completely different. See, we don't own the trademark of marriage. God does. He created it. Why? Because here's one thing that I found out about trademarking as going through the trademarking process, which I'm still trying to get the freaking trademark to go through, is that not only when you file for trademarking, is it very detailed, but it's very strenuous. It's very detailed. Like, it's longer than what you think, because you need to be so distinct, so specific, so detailed. When God created man and woman, he was very specific. You have that tool. You have that tool. When you both come together, you create new tools.
Okay.
You have the ability to multiply, distribute, replenish, and prove that I was here.
Yeah.
You your humans are proof of concept of who God is.
If you've ever been pregnant,
come on.
If you've ever carried a child, or gone through the process of having a child, then there's no way that you could probably ever question whether there's a God or not.
No.
The fact that I made brain matter, I made fingernail beds
you didn't do it alone,
in my body.
Wait a second. You're going too far. Wait.
Okay. In my body, brains were being formed.
You got real loud when you said in my body.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure.
That's I felt a little ATL coming out when you said that.
There were livers being formed inside of my body. That was not my own. Like, it's an entire thing that shows that once we were created, and now we are able to procreate, and it is still in the DNA of what God originally planned.
Yeah, it's still in the trademarking. He's copywritten everything. And even in my process of trying to figure out this freaking trademark, I came to a part where I stopped because it was too late at night. It was like 3 a.m.
Yeah, we were reading this stuff.
But I had to have proof of that it was in the market, that it was a real thing. Because why? People will steal that trademark just to hold on to it and resell it. Maybe even destroy it. Maybe get it before somebody else does and say, I got it. Now, what I do hate, logically, is that you can have the .com, you can have the Facebook, you can have all these things, but if somebody gets the trademark first, they kind of have the upper hand.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably end up being one of the Robinson versus whoever to create a new stance against that, because trademarking is just where it is. Like, you shouldn't be able to buy a domain or anything without it going through that process. Anyway, that's a later thing. But what has happened is people have taken God's original trademark and put a different name on it called partnership, which partnership is very different than marriage. Partnership is a contract between two people, two humans, man to man, man to woman, party to party, both of us. It starts and ends with us. But a marriage is a covenant between God and man.
That's good.
The trademark proof is it's a covenant, not a contract, between God and man. And so when we're thinking about partnerships, I really want you to think about this is in today's world, we know several people who are, whether they're have children or whether they're living together or whether they're dating, but they're doing all the marital things. And they say, the easy thing to say, oh, that's my partner. There's people today, which is many of you, I would say some of you, who are saying, hey, you cute. I hit the gym all the time. If we made a baby, it'd be bad. Man, we have some pretty kids, won't we? Yeah, you got a job? You talking to her. This ain't what she had. You got a job? Cool. We got some income. We can take care of this pretty baby. What other benefits can we get? Yeah, every tax that we can even get.
Tax write-off.
Tax write-off, benefits, the whole thing. But some things that we're missing from that very thing is we're extracting the partnership nature from marriage, and we're only getting the benefits with no true divine attachment to it. See, inside of a marriage versus a partnership, whenever you read through a partnership agreement, it kind of goes like this. Here's like a basic outline, is that when you look at a partnership, you say, this person, Kayla, brings all of these contributions, meaning money, some business assets, maybe intellectual property, some IP, maybe a network group of people that you're going to bring for 52%. Then I'll say, oh, I, Antoine, the company or person, I bring these contributions, we bring these two together, and we want to make a baby called Caesar. That's the baby name. That's the project. That's the business that we're going to go for. One thing that is very evident of this contract is that, one, it has a price to it. There's what do I get out of this?
What do I bring and what do I get?
What do I bring? What do I get? See, in a marriage, if you brought nothing but the agreement of love that I will love you forever, that's not tangible. That's what the promise is. I didn't have to look at your bank account and say, hey, man, what's your credit look like? Or what's this culture? And there's fools, men, who will look at the girl and ask her what she got to bring. Bro, if you don't know, that's the manual. I got to catch you on my own separate podcast for that. But the woman, one, shouldn't have to contribute anything except her time, her willingness, her help, and maybe her life to help build something greater than what you both can do alone. And it's not just bringing together just a baby, but a generation, legacy, because that's what's different inside of that partnership contract that you would need to get extensive for, is like what happens after one of us, or what happens if then it gets messy. Inside of a marriage, we call it legacy and trust. Holla at your boy. Now, yeah, you can't do that in a partnership, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're going to capitalize on what a partnership is today and why it, I think, is a distortion of marriage unintentionally. It's just trendy. Partnerships are trendy. The other thing with that partnership contract is it has a duration. It has a term. Till what date? Till what date?
There's an end date.
There's an end date. And inside of a relationship, it can be whenever you want it to be. People can divorce all the time. Yeah. That's because, one, they weren't held accountable, possibly. Somebody broke the covenant.
There you go.
And maybe wasn't held accountable or didn't seek counsel for that. Or maybe they just didn't go to counseling overall. And so inside of that partnership, those are very, very distinctive things. What you really miss is the divine unseen things, the intrinsic value of a marriage, the love, I'll if the partnership doesn't work, great, but I'll still be there when you get sick. Oh, when the baby comes or the baby comes to form, like that's my oath. There's an oath part, and inside of that covenant that you make inside of a marriage that I didn't even know, didn't even fully feel until you're married. Um, and I'll mention one of the benefits later, but that covenant is a promise. Watch it for the men to say, "Hey, this." Oh, this just hit. Sheesh. I'm gonna make this a little personal, babe. Watch me work. When a man leaves his mother and father, what he's saying is that when that daughter arrives, that's God's contribution to man. You didn't catch it. In a marriage, this is the difference between a partnership. It'd be different if we were both bringing two cows and she wanted milk out of it and I wanted cheese, and we worked that out depending on how we got our cheese. But in a marriage, a man meets God with God's contribution, and man brings his life, his money, his skills, all that he knows and all that he doesn't know and will learn to the marriage to oversee the blessing and favor that God sends a man. That's why the Bible says, I'm about to go off.
Mm-hmm.
When a man finds a wife, not when a man finds a partner.
Mm-hmm.
That partner is too contingent. It's too, what's the word? Conditional. See, when a man finds a wife, one, it's unconditional. Two, you just lucked up. Three, you was not fully prepared, but I'm gonna give you favor anyway, says God, because you have what? My daughter. So even if you can't take care of her, I got you. You're not hearing me yet. That's why when God says a man is granted favor, meaning unusual access to help, to vision, to resources, to men, other men. I explain this to every man I can tell who should get married, especially when they're with the woman I know she's the woman, is that something I find out in business, even before partnership, or even if you never go into partnership with a businessman, is when you're first meeting a man, especially a man of stature or a man of value, not a man who doesn't have anything, but a man of value. When you first meet him with the first handshake, that's one of the most important things because it needs to be firm. There's a trustworthiness in the handshake, meaning I can trust you on this level of a conversation. The second part to that is whenever they start to ask you things, it may go, "What do you do?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you may say, "Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I own this business. I own this business." Oh, that's great. Wherever you work for, blah 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 blah. At some point in that conversation, when a man really wants to see what you're worth, or if he can trust you, he'll ask you this question. Are you married? You'll never hear a man say, "Who's your partner?" Jim, he's no. I don't mean that partner. Well, I've done partnerships with Tim over there. Like, no. You're gonna confusing. You don't know what that is. When a man says, "Are you married?" I take privilege in that because one, I am married. Two, I've been with my wife 18 years, married 13, three beautiful kids. What that says to a man in business, even if he doesn't know this, what that says to him is, and what he's kind of asking you is, what are you responsible for that's invaluable? What are you responsible for outside of the stuff you do? You can lose all that. But if you lose your family, that may be everything to you. When a man asks you that, it'll be the most valuable thing you've been asked. And that's something you want to take pride in because that's the thing that God has given man. No one else can give to you. That's favor. That's the reason why you're talking to maybe this millionaire, billionaire anyway. So having a marriage is way more than a partnership or contract. It's a covenant that you have made in an oath with your spouse. And it shows other men that you have favor somewhere, because the favor I have just from being married, I can't get in a partnership. See, I got to come with a bunch of stuff. I got to have proof. I got to have maybe even accounts. I got to show some backlogs of when I show up with my wife and I show them some pictures of my kids, almost instantly I'm in. Almost instantly trust appears. Then he pulls out his wallet or his phone. For some of y'all, you used to pull out the wallet and see the whole family. And he starts to show you on a deeper level what really means most to him. And the key factor in this is if a man can see how responsible you are, not only to your family or to your kids, and if they can go on Instagram, Facebook, or be heard by other men how good of a man you are to your wife and to your kids, not only can he trust you with more conversations, but he probably could trust you with an account. He probably could trust you with his business. He can probably trust you with a decision that he's looking to make, and I really can't trust anyone else because all these jokers are going to the bar after and not going home to their spouses, but you are. What do you think about this? I'm getting ready to put some money over here, but I'm really not too sure about this. And do you know anything? I don't really know too much, but he might can trust you because you see what God has trusted you with and favored you with. So when it comes to this area of partnership in our culture today, it's very watered down. It could be lucrative. It could be a capital gain. It could be great on taxes. But I think you're missing out on the main point when, especially Gen Zs and millennials are just partnering, because the older couple, like, they don't even know what that is. But when you're choosing to just partner, and I'm speaking to the man, just to partner with a woman, you're doing her and yourself a disservice. And it's a little bit disgraceful, I believe, to only give 1/3 of what God is truly intended for. And you're infringing on the very design and factory of marriage itself. And I did say it. You are infringing on God's original design for marriage. You infringing on his trademark. You just took a little piece out of it. And you're shacking up, you're living with, you're building a future, you're going on trips, you're in Dubai. You're spending time, you're meeting the parents. You've been entrusted by not only God, but even maybe her father too as well, that you didn't marry, and you didn't tricked him. I'm going off on somebody. And tricked him, say, oh, I got your daughter, when really, even deep down in her heart, she wants to be married. No girl in this world wants to just be a partner. That means you can have 8 of these chicks up in here. Sorry if I'm going off, but
good.
this is the reason why I'm so passionate about this. I understand what's in a partnership contract, but I never seen a contract for my wife. I never seen a covenant contract. Now, of course, at the courthouse, you
have to make it legal.
You have to make it legal, but really, that it was already legal between me and heaven. Sheesh.
That's good.
I made it legal that when I married this woman in my heart first, no partnership contract could break it. Nothing could break it. So I worry about how society, and I'm not even going to talk about the women, because I know women want to be married. They live for it. They almost dream. My daughter's already talking about it right now. Lord, I can't even talk about it because I'll start crying. But man, we're infringing on God's rights to protect. That's what trademark is for, is to protect intellectual property. God, why do I know this? Because I'm going through hell right now. Hopefully I end up in the trademark right now. But he started to show me how important and why we do it in the natural. God has done it in the spiritual, in the heavens, and here on earth. That's something that's very dear to him, even so much so that in his word it says that the church is the bride and that Christ is the bridegroom. Mm-hmm. It's very dear to him. He would even put it in a parable or even in a metaphor to even describe it to you.
And husbands are supposed to love their wives.
And husbands are supposed to love their wives, not their partner. You're not obligated to love that woman like that. You're just obligated to make that baby and make some money, have a decent little life on Facebook. Or maybe hopefully better than that. But husbands, he conditioned us, that's in the trademark, to love our wives as Christ has loved the church. And for wives to respect their husbands. See, in that partnership, I got to respect you in that partnership contract.
All right.
I just got to make sure we living up to the contributions that we put together. And hopefully we don't get on each other's nerve to just kill each other or just walk out. There's no internal obligation. So marriage has way more, not only benefits, but value and also heavenly protection. And it's not something you want to infringe on. You don't want to infringe on God's trademark of marriage over a partnership deal. You don't want to shortchange marriage, because I believe everyone should dive in. I believe marriage is the highest and most deepest form of relationship. That's why he started off with Adam and Eve, man and woman. Boom. Man shall leave his father for these reasons. Boom, 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 boom. Trademarked it. Boom. It's already done. Y'all ain't got to mess it up. You just got to make it happen. Anyway, I digress. You got any questions about that? I know it's pretty strange. I know it's the first time you kind of hear me.
I was like, wow, you do feel strongly about this.
Very.
No, I think going off the scripture that you said that husbands, you're to love your wives as Christ loved the church. I would read that and I didn't quite understand it until recently, actually. Christ loved the church so much that he gave his only son to be crucified for all of us.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much Christ loved the church. God loved his church, the church, capital C church, all of us so much that he gave his only son to die on a cross for us so that we didn't have to. And that's how much it says that husbands are supposed to love their wives. And I think that that's really important to hear that scripture that way, to remember that. And then also, he that finds a wife finds a good thing, because women, we're a good thing.
Very good thing.
We bring good things.
A lot of good things.
And that he obtains favor from the Lord because he has found a wife. Not because he found a girlfriend, not because he found a partner, but that favor comes the minute that you cross over and have found a wife.
Can you brainwash all the women out there who just settle for being a partner?
Brainwash.
Not brainwash all of them.
Yeah, I think being a wife is something that is unique and special. And not just in the sense of you saying like, oh yeah, that's my husband and y'all are not married. Like, you're giving him husband privileges and rights without the covenant and contract, which means you can give him husband privileges and rights and he can still cheat on you and walk out the door, because there's nothing holding him accountable for anything that he's done. And if you're doing it the kingdom way, I can't speak to people who are doing it any other way, because this is all that we know. This is how we're doing it. But if you're doing it the kingdom way and you're building that foundation that I feel like I talk about in every episode, but you want to build that foundation not only with Christ and yourself, but with Christ or with God and your partner, and you're giving him all the privileges that come with being a husband, but he is not getting the privileges that come with being a husband from God, which means favor.
No favor. Sheesh.
Which means finding a good thing.
Sheesh.
Which means you do not have to respect him in the way that he is supposed to be and designed to be respected. Which means that he does not have to bring covenant to you and remain faithful to just you. He can go ahead and be with whoever he wants because you have given him all of the privileges already. What makes him have to hold true to the covenant of what marriage truly is. There have been many times in our marriage that we've held that through sickness and health part very close.
Yeah.
And I can imagine if I was with someone who was just my partner, who didn't have to be there for me when I was in that sickness part of it. We've held that for richer or poorer part very closely as well.
Yeah.
I make a joke all the time, like, we ain't doing this for poorer part no more. Like, we've been there, done that, we going up. But honestly, had we just been in a partnership and we had been going through the poor, what's holding me here with you?
Yeah.
What's holding you with me?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just important to remember, if you want to get the privileges of being a wife from your partner, if you want the privileges of the husband from your partner, you will never receive the privileges that come from God through the true covenant of being married.
There you have it. You see our passion, you see our why, you see our conviction when it comes to marriage. The older we get,
that's a good one. We're very convicted when it comes to marriage.
It's conviction.
Yeah.
I think when people get married, you don't really get that conviction just yet. You just think it's a cool thing.
It's a cool thing to be married. Yeah.
But when you understand the origin, just like with trademarking, I can launch a tech company, but in the back of my mind now, I'm still got like, Lord, I didn't get trademarked. Like, because I understand the protection around the brand of marriage.
Yeah.
I understand the consequence behind the brand of our company that we're launching. And this is real time. This is how much I respect it, is I got to go pay for this.
Yeah.
I have to get accountability for it. It has to go through another attorney. And so for us, there's a brand to marriage right now. And it's looking all kind of ways, but I think we're here to help protect and keep that sacred, as this is something we want for our kids.
I think I was just about to say, I think that especially me right now, I am very into the generational wealth and generational breaking of generational curses.
Yeah.
And I think that if we were just in a partnership, we wouldn't be able to do those things. We can't leave a legacy in generational wealth, not generational riches, but generational wealth, and break generational curses by just being in a partnership. We can do that by being in a covenant, not only with ourselves, but with God.
Yeah. And I think, and that's something I thought about before. I don't care how touchy it is. I think when it comes to certain cultures where it's the LGBTQ, whether it's people who just want a partner just to do it, it shouldn't be called marriage. That's its own brand. Leave that brand. That brand is trademarked with something way higher than all of us. So I think partner is probably the safest use, but that should include everybody over here who doesn't want that strategic covenant between man and woman. First of all, I just got to keep it 100 on here. That can produce something that proves who God is, which is the original entity or divinity. Entity is what we use in the trademark language. Holla at your boy. But also the divinity who actually put this into play. That's how much we care about it. Yeah, should everybody be loved? Yeah, but you got 3 dogs. You can be loved by your dogs. Or if you want to have that connection with somebody, that's a connective partnership. I think even in legislation, I think even in courts, that's something I would say, hey, this is branded as something different.
Yeah.
But this is God's brand. And we see the proof and fruit of this because we do all understand the production of that fruit. That's how we all arrived here.
Yeah. Through
man and woman. Nobody else. And I pray to God that they're not making any more humans in a laboratory. You're trying, because I know you're trying.
I'm sure they're trying.
I'm pretty sure you're trying. But God is evident. So evident that we don't even need to find the founder to see it at work. It's still working millions of years later, which I'm excited about. And it's really that easy.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are in a partnership relationship and you feel good and comfortable, because you don't we don't need all that. I get it. You've seen enough marriages, even maybe from your parents, that kind of turned you off.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell my wife, like, let's stop yelling in front of the kids. Like, let's take this to the back. Hey, don't yell at the boys like this, because they might think they're going to get a girl who. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm making it very difficult for my future daughter-in-laws. I'm sorry now. I apologize, but they're going to have a really high standard for what they expect from a marriage and a relationship with who they're with.
Because we want our kids to be married. We want them to be loved. We want them to have somebody who loves them, who help take care of them. That's a unique benefit.
Because that is generational wealth and legacy.
Yeah.
For our children to see that they've never known divorce or lack of in any area in their life is what building generational wealth is. I have been privileged, I think I said this before, that all I know is marriage and my lineage. So my testimony is that my lineage holds generational wealth of marriages.
Yeah.
And not everybody can say that. However, you can break that generational curse right now and build it from this point on, that you will build generational wealth of marriages in your lineage from this point forward. Yeah,
because I grew up without it. But I was able to be blessed by mentors and watching my entire life. And as our Bible says, a good father will leave an inheritance for his children's children. And I believe that's just not just money, wealth, and trust. Yes, that should be a part of it. I think a mentality is one. I think spirituality is another. But I think visuals, the ability to, I see my dad do this.
Mm-hmm.
I seen the way I seen my mama and daddy, like, they kind of went at it, but I would see them kiss and love each other more than I ever seen them
All my mama wanted to do was cuddle my daddy.
That was it. That's an inheritance. I seen that from couples that wasn't even inside my household. And so now I'm able to do that with my wife, and I have a full, beautiful family to attest for that. And I think that's the way that God truly intended that, to show that love, to see that love, to invest that love through a marriage ordained and put together and produced by a man and woman, and to show not only the evidence of God, but the favor of God.
Yeah.
Because I get it every day. The highest compliment I get is my family. And I do a lot of things, and I'm really good at it, a lot of things. Nobody cares about that. They care about, hey, is that your family? Or hey, is that, bro, man, your kids are, it's the highest form of accomplishment inside of our marriage is the whole system working. And I think we're reflecting God. So this is Married to Marriage.
This is Married to Marriage.
We believe in you and your marriage. And for those of you who are in a partnership right now, and one of y'all I really feel led to get married or want to get married, maybe don't know how to, reach out to us. Reach out to somebody who is married. And when you're ready to take that step, take the step. Don't hesitate. Don't wait too long, because you already doing the married stuff. You already 75% there anyway. Holla at you. We know what y'all doing. We know why you're doing it. And yeah, you do probably really do love each other, but you never seen that godly representation,
right?
Or you didn't know the brand enough to know that you were infringing on God's original design. Sheesh. Jesus, that's my new word.
Jesus.
That's a word we coin, Jesus. Anyway.
We need to trademark it.
We will trademark it. But don't feel bad about it. But know that we're watching you. People watching you. One day your kids will ask about it, and you want to give an account for that. And just like I have to give an account for the trademark that we really need really bad, I pray to God that y'all will work with us. We understand that that law is there for a reason, even when I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And even when you didn't fully know the brand of marriage, the sanctity of marriage, the covenant of marriage, the value in favor of it, I believe that's why we're here to say, hey, don't infringe on what God did.
Yeah. That's good.
Welcome to Married to Marriage.